We don't have anxiety or worry really over those things we can control. It's those things we can't control. It's the unknown. It's the change. It's the uncertainty. But here's the thing. If you want to bring about new things into your life, in other words, if you want to manifest certain things in your life or certain experiences, you have to be willing to step into the unknown. That change is the unknown. Better things for you are change. So, you have to trust in those changes and in the unknown and be willing to take those steps into it. Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Envibe Live Conversations with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. By tuning in, you are joining a community that will inspire you to increase balance, wellness, and joy in your life. We'll offer expert information and insightful conversations to help us on our journey to live more Envibe. For more information and articles, remember to also check out our website at envibelife.com. That's ENVIBELIFE.com. We're grateful that you're here.
Hello and welcome to the Envibe Live Conversations podcast with Amy Parker and Cheryl Dunn. We are talking off the cuff today.
Yes.
This is one of those podcasts that came up as a result of things that Cheryl and I are both dealing with in our lives right now, which, by the way, is the whole reason Envibe Life and Envibe Life Conversations came about to begin with. So This is very authentic. We have some stuff going on in our lives, and we're just going to talk it out right here with everybody. So join in, send us your energy, and then send us your comments afterwards. Here's the topic we've been going around and around on. It has a little bit to do with change. Mm-hmm. And we have a prior podcast about change. I think it was in December. So you can see this has been a topic we've been dealing with for a few weeks now. Mm-hmm. But there's an extra component right now, and it's the unknown. And what it takes to step into the unknown and how hard that can be to do.
Scary.
It's really scary.
Yeah, it's very scary because I think the unknown is, can stir up your fears.
Well, I heard one time, I have no idea from where, that, we don't have anxiety or worry really over those things we can control. It's those things we can't control. It's the unknown. It's the change. It's the uncertainty. But here's the thing. If you want to bring about new things into your life, in other words, if you want to manifest certain things in your life or certain experiences, you have to be willing to step into the unknown. That change is the unknown. Better things for you are change. So, you have to trust in those changes and in the unknown and be willing to take those steps into it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, it's a good way to think of it this way. Like you said, be willing to take the steps into it. Sometimes if we resist that, we don't feel like we're willing to do it. We're being forced into it. And then that can bring up the fear. It can bring up anger. It can bring up blame, of whether you're blaming somebody else or you're blaming just what's going on in the world, like COVID or whatever, those sort of things. That might be our first human reaction, is all of those. I guess negative would be a great way to define fear, anger, frustration, resistance. All of that is not, I guess, in alignment what we try and stir up or conjure up here. It's not us being in alignment with trying to live in vibe.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's break this down from a manifestation point of view. And this is how it's coming up for me in some ways. And then I have some of the, I wish this weren't happening, change coming. I have both things happening, or not even change, but unknown situations or difficult situations. Those situations where you can recognize the growth in it, but man, is it ever hard to go through. When you are calling something new into your life, you want a new job, you want a new house, you want a new life, you want a completely new direction in your life, let's say, what you are really doing is asking for change. And you are really asking for the unknown. And if it's not unknown, you might be limiting yourself. And that's the other thing to realize. Because if you keep your experience or if you try to box your future experience into something you can know or predict, then you are not allowing God to work.
Right. And then you're staying either consistent or staying wrapped in those fears.
Static. And that's why, when you are trying to call something into your life, it's also important. So here's step number 1, to always ask for whatever you're calling in to be in your most benevolent outcome and purpose, or in your highest and best interest. But then you have to let go and trust that it is. And you have to do the work to listen to those messages from God, from the universe, that lead you on the path of what comes next. And that's where the trust comes in. So if you've done the work to clear up your blockages, to clear up the things holding you back from what you're trying to call into your life.
Elaborate on that for me.
Okay, so we all have limiting beliefs. If you believe you are unworthy, then nothing is going to come into your life that requires an energetic template of worthiness.
Do you think that we always vacillate on that back and forth, or once you've done the work, you've done the work? Or do you have to continue?
For me, I vacillate.
Me
I mean,
too.
there are probably some super enlightened people out there that have done it and dun, 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 they walk on clouds and roses all the time.
Right.
For me, it goes back and forth, and those are reminders too. But, unworthiness, or for me, a big thing I've worked through for many years now, continue to, is a willingness to receive, or an allowing of receiving. And I've talked about this on other podcasts. And, you can't say, I want to win the lottery, and that's a ridiculous thing to put out there in some ways, but maybe not. And if you haven't worked through issues of receiving, because you're not going, you can't stand in the energy of receiving if you haven't cleared the things that make you believe you're not worthy of receiving, or if you have a discomfort with receiving, for example, or worthiness. I mean, those are just some examples I think are very relevant to manifestation, or at least in the work I've done for myself. Those are some key areas to get past. We all have those blockages. If you're trying to call a certain relationship into your life, it might be issues with feeling unlovable, or having been hurt in the past, maybe. And so fear of being hurt again, or fear of judgment, or maybe you're judging yourself.
Right.
And so you're putting that energy of judgment into your energetic template. I mean, this is really the work of creating the life you want. It's first going back and looking at the things in yourself. That's you always talk about that story you tell yourself. What parts of that story and it are preventing you from the life you really want to be living, or the path you really want to be on. And this is really hard work, because you have to get real with yourself. And sometimes it's not pretty, and you don't like what you see. And if you're resisting something and it's a deep-seated resistance, it's really hard to let go of it. And you can even become addicted to that thing.
Correct. Right. Yeah, completely. I think too, sometimes what I found that doing the work, or working on, I feel like I'm working on doing the work and figuring out those things. When I see a trigger come up that you feel like you've resolved, when it comes back up, it's almost like, I don't know, maybe I judge myself harder or get madder at myself. I'm like, seriously, you've worked on this and it's bothering you again?
Right.
Or you're falling back into this pattern or this excuse or this belief again? that comes up for me.
We've been doing these podcasts for a year. I've gone back and re-listened to old podcasts we've done and thought, gosh, I was so much smarter 9 months ago than I am today. How did I forget all of that? Yes. Even our own podcast. So, yeah, I mean, we're human. And that's human nature and human tendency. Also realizing those triggers are messages to you from the divine, I think, and life circumstances and relationships are there to show us what we need to work on. And the triggers themselves are gifts, can be hard to realize at that moment, but those are some of those pings on the path to let you know you're heading in a certain direction. So just getting back, I guess we're turning this into talking about manifestation a little bit, but
that
goes
so hand in hand
doing
with
that
change.
work, it does, and clearing those things, then you start to imagine and dream, like, what is it I want? And so that's the first thing. It's okay for you to want things or desire things. I think that's a hang-up I had. Another hang-up I had in my life was it's somehow vulgar to want certain things, or I shouldn't want, or even if I do, I shouldn't even let people know I do because
how they might perceive
they
that.
might perceive me. No, if you are a co-creator of your life, you have to put out there the things you want, or like you said, then it's going to be unintended change or undesired change. The universe is going to push you along one way or the other. So get on the boat with it, co-create with God, or God is still going to put you where he wants you to be, even if it's hard to recognize that at the time. And we all have those things. And there are still some things, from my recent past that I still go, why? Like, I still don't quite get it.
Yeah. Me too.
And I have to take myself back to trust in him and trust that it's all in my best interest. But again, get clear on the things you want, or desire to bring into your life, and then put yourself in that energetic template. Imagine that it's already happening to you, and then you're drawing it to you, because you're like a magnet. So you have to already have that energy embedded within you in order to attract that energy to you. So it's so bizarre to think of it that way, but it's really what happens. You have to almost already think it's happened for you to allow it to come to you. But again, here's the thing. If you want a new job, let's just say, because I think that's common. A lot of people, or
especially
right now, a lot
COVID.
of people are completely reevaluating their lives. Sometimes maybe not because you want to, but you're having to. That new job might be more amazing than anything you could even imagine for yourself, but it is still by definition change. So if you're putting out a resistance to change, understand that you're resisting that which you are trying to call in.
Right.
And so you have to have a willingness to step into that change, or like we started, this by saying, we've really been talking a lot about embracing the unknown or stepping into the unknown, and trusting that you are going in the direction that God intends you to go, or the universe intends you to go. Again, if all that other stuff came before it, I believe. If you sat in meditation, you've sat in prayer, you've done the work, and now you're watching and listening for those mystical pings or directions or signs, and they're out there. They are out there all the time. Watch for the signs.
I think what you just said about trusting that what is to come is in your best interest.
Well, this is faith.
Yeah, yes. And I think that that reminder to yourself or whatever, to your friend, if you're talking to them, that, trust that what is coming is in your best interest, and try and put your energy towards focusing on that feeling of what you're trying to call in, those sort of things, reminders, us saying it in this podcast. I know you and I have said it probably in almost all of our podcasts. We talk about some sort of form
But
of
if you're listening to this today, you probably need to hear it.
Yes.
First of all, understand that this message right now for you can be one of those little signs to say, okay, I am stepping in the right direction.
Yes, completely.
God uses all of us in this way. Not just me and Cheryl doing Envibe Live conversations. Every single one. It might be that barista at the coffee shop or person at the grocery store that says the exact right thing to you at the exact right moment.
Right.
Realize that's there for you.
And
be grateful for it. If you're grateful for it, you'll get more of those signs.
I also feel like this stuff that we're talking about, we've heard it 100 times, right? Mm-hmm. But you might need to just hear it again.
Right.
That 101st time might be like, oh, you're so right. Mm-hmm. So it's imperative to, I sometimes re-listen to old books like that I've listened to before that struck me, was like, oh, that was a really good one. I'll re-listen to it or reread it and get something totally different out of it, because you can only take in what you're allowing in, right? So that's part of it's good to do things again. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
I reread my journals. Again, I've re-listened to our podcast.
Yeah, re-listened to our podcast.
Those reread my old journals and think, gosh, and I think some of that comes from the fact that if you get in the energy of creation or God's energy, sometimes what comes out of you is really flowing through you. Mm-hmm. And that might be why you don't fully remember all of it and need to go back and reread it or relearn it.
It's interesting you talk about creating. I was just listening to an Abraham Hicks book on the vortex and energy, and it was saying that the difference between us and animals, because they are life source as well, is that we're creators.
Oh.
And they're easier at allowing. Like we are more in creating and they're more into allowing.
And receiving.
Mm-hmm. They're more into that flow where we're more into a creative flow. Mm-hmm. So I thought, that's so interesting.
But again, even creation is divine change.
Yes.
It's the process of moment to moment change is creation.
I think the bigger picture is the flow and the allowing that we need to work on. Mm-hmm. Stepping into it.
Trusting, embracing, engaging.
Yeah.
Really wrapping your arms around it.
In faith that it's going to be okay.
So let's talk about some additional ways to do that. We kind of mentioned this a couple minutes ago, and I talked about it again before. You might have not heard it, so I'll say it again. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
For this, and I love his guided meditations for this. That might be something to do. Programming yourself to be ready for the change to come. Putting yourself in the energy of that future you want right in this moment. And that's how you can create that future you want. Is, again, it's all in the quantum field. It's an energetic template. You can live in it today, and then you'll be ready for
it's so interesting.
The signs as they come.
I was talking to my son last night about this. He was complaining about going to school. And I said, if you kind of have that energy of complaint about it, you're not going to have a good time at school tomorrow. And I said, think about things that make you happy. And I said, what makes you happy? And he was like, oh, Dudley, our dog. I said, well, think about Dudley, and feel that. And he goes, but I can't bring Dudley to school. I said, but the energy that you feel from Dudley, you can take with you everywhere, right? And that happy and that joy. I said, I'm not asking you to call in this wonderful school experience. I'm asking you to call in a wonderful experience, and then maybe your school day will then bring in more experiences that give you the same feeling that Dudley gives you.
And I would suggest looking at it this way. Think about what you want your school experience to be.
Yeah.
What feeling do you want to have when you're at school? And if it's similar to the feeling Dudley gives me, then that's your reference point, right? Or think of some other thing when I jump in a swimming pool, whatever.
Whatever
get that energetic reference point for how you want to feel when you're in school. If you can,
and not that you have to pick out what it is in school that's going to give you the feeling.
You're looking for the feeling.
The feeling.
Because it might be something that you never imagined. Again, this is that it might be something greater than you can possibly imagine for yourself.
Yeah.
So think about the feeling you want to feel. the bigger the thing you're trying to bring in, the more important I think it is to sit in stillness and put yourself in that feeling.
Yeah.
And again, this is where, I love meditating and sitting in stillness. This is where I really, really, really do use guided meditations.
Yeah.
And it really helps
to put
me
yourself into that feeling.
and to stay there for an extended period of time. Yeah, with the binaural beats and someone walking me through it with their voice, and it really helps me. Put yourself in that energy you're trying to call in. And again, if Dudley is the reference point for how you want to feel, it's Dudley, and it's whatever. And sit in that energy. Already have it. Have it right now.
Yeah.
And then, maybe when you're in school the next day, you might see there's a chess club that I'd never thought of before. And that kind of strikes me as interesting. Go to it.
Yeah.
Because the signs are going to come in your path to take you to that energy your body is already in. You're going to draw that to you. Be open to the unknown, that it might give you exactly what you're hoping for.
Yeah, that was a great way to
I hope that
elaborate
kind of
on
made
that.
sense. Yeah, I thought that was great because you were
clear.
You were putting it in terms of your
sixth grader.
I didn't know which son, but
Yeah.
sixth grader.
Yeah, but that is just a great way to elaborate on it, and make it more clear for us as adults to use
Manifestation requires you to embrace the unknown. And that is so hard. Again, this is my favorite thing to talk about, and I am struggling with it right now.
Yeah, but you're
Because
so
it's
good
scary.
at it.
Because it's scary to do it. And I have to put myself back in that place of faith.
What's so funny, speaking of like the voice in your head and the story you tell yourself, because what I tell myself right now, like this story that is not good for me, is I'm like, oh, it's easy for you, Amy, because everything always is good for you. It turns out great for you. Is to be like, you're going to be great at this because you manifest everything, It's like, but that's me deeply. That's really it, and that's true. I do feel that way, but it's also that there's this backpedal or this other side of that where it's like, oh, I don't get those things.
Yeah, you're telling yourself, I'm not good at this. You're You're judging
yourself. Yes.
For not being good at it.
Totally.
And by the way, for Cheryl to know, and by the way, Cheryl talks me off the cliff when things aren't going well for me, so she knows better than what she just said. First of all, and second of all, for everyone out there to understand, I have a blessed life. I really do.
Yes.
I'm so lucky, and I have a ton of stuff I struggle with.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes hand in hand. Having a blessed life and calling in a lot of amazing things does not mean things don't come up for you to work on either. It is constant. And I have a couple of them on my shoulders, right? At the same time that I have some amazing things happening in my life right now, I have some really difficult things going on in my life right now too. And that's, you have to I'm having to put myself into a place of gratitude for all of it.
Yes.
Knowing that it's all from my higher purpose or, even my family's, because some of it's a bigger
picture than just,
than just what Amy is doing. Because, we all as mothers, and I think fathers too, if our kid's going through something, we feel it. We feel it just like they do, maybe even harder. And so... And that's, like your sixth grader, he doesn't have all the tools yet. And so we tend to want to help them and do it for them. And so that's hard too. That's a whole different topic. But
it's, it's the change and the manifestation of change and then allowing it to happen and having the faith that it's going to all is well. Right? That's another one of our favorite. We just need t-shirts that say all is well.
Let's do it.
All is well.
Yeah. That's our next t-shirt. Yeah.
I love it. That's good. That is our next t-shirt.
It is. Yeah. Okay. So
I think this was great, Amy. I think that,
again, we just kind of...
If you guys didn't need to hear this, I did.
Yeah. And I think we're going to develop this a little bit more too and put some more stuff out there on change and manifestation and working through those, encumbrances you have that are preventing you from getting to the next step. And again, just gratitude also as you go into that unknown, because gratitude is necessarily putting you in a state of receivership, or saying, if you're saying I'm thankful for something, it means you're receiving it. And in that energy of receiving is where you can manifest, because that's what you're trying to do. So that is crucial to developing that energetic template, or I would suggest it's a key component of every energy I try to put out there, particularly if I'm trying to call something in.
Right. I think that's great.
So, yeah. Embrace change, step into the unknown.
Have faith.
Have faith, give thanks for all of those things, and know you're not alone. Whatever you're feeling, we've probably felt, others out there are feeling. This is challenging, but view it as fun. Yeah. If you start to view the struggles as how exciting is it for what I will learn for that, it can also change your experience.
And go ahead and look at our website. There are tools such as the boxes for the manifestation box. There's an article about manifestation on there.
We have a podcast on the law of attraction.
Yeah, there's some journals.
For sure. Yeah, journal prompts. Yeah.
So all kinds of stuff like that helps you manage change as well. So
thank you for helping us.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
You don't even know that you were where we needed you to be.
Right.
Today to help us talk through this. So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Envibe Live Conversations. For more information and to join our community, be sure to check out our website at envibelive.com. We look forward to sharing with you.